Hello and welcome to another Purveyor Light Photoshop quick tip. Today is what is becoming a tradition now, a Creative Sunday. This is where we take a losing photo and that's not savable by any conventional means, but we try to do something creative with that photo. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Up here on the screen, I've got a photo taken over in Galveston, Texas. Okay, on the coast, the Gulf Coast there. And, well, it's got bad choppy water, foam on the water. Not very interesting. So, to me, I can't save this photo, and we'll blame it all on the photographer. But I said, what could I do to this? Is there any way that we could do something creative with this photo? And so I look at it and I go, it would have been maybe nice if I had a 10-stop ND filter and I was able to turn around and calm the oceans and maybe put the clouds into streaking across, like a time lapse. And I says, well, I don't know if we can do it, but let's see what we can do. All right, so that's my goal. I'm going to try to calm the seas and turn them into some silky smooth, like it was taken with a time lapse. Same thing with the sky, but I still want to keep everything else intact at the amusement park. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to make a copy of the background layer, Command and Control J. And so now we have a copy for safety purposes, in case we need it. And I am going to... We need to preserve this dock in this amusement park for what we're going to do. So I'm going to see how Adobe does. I'm going to go Select, and I'm going to go Subject. And not too bad. Not too bad. It picked up most of the stuff here. So I think we're okay. Let me do a select and mask. And I think for our purposes, I think we're pretty good. So we will have them throw that up to a new layer with a mask. And we'll throw it up there. Okay, so now we have a layer here dedicated with just the amusement park. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the original layer and we're going to turn off the amusement park for now. And we're going to work with this one layer and we're going to see what we can do here. I'm going to take the lasso tool and I'm going to just draw a rough outline around the amusement park here on the pier. Don't got to be very super, exact or anything. We're just trying to do this so that I can isolate the pier and that. Okay. And again, don't have to be that accurate. It's just a isolating error. Okay, so now I have that selected, and I am now going to ask Photoshop to see what it could do about replacing the pier with the background. So, edit and content aware fill. It may not do too good of a job, but we'll see. And there on the right side, it looks like it's pretty blotchy, it's pretty lousy, but you know what? I think it's workable still. So I'm going to accept that. And so there we are. I have a nice blotchy background. But I still think we can make this thing work. All right. I had to remove the thing out because I intend to blur the background. And so in order for this to do this, I need to do this. So I'm going to select this layer and then the layer below. and I'm going to flatten them together. So merge the layers, and that turns them into one. We're committed now. All right, so what kind of I want to do some blurring, and I wanted to make a little time lapse. So it's got to be not just a Gaussian blur where it just blurs, statically where it is. I need to put a blur in that'll give me some motion that I can control. All right, I want to control the blur, the direction of the blur in the sky. I wanted to control the blur in the ocean. So I think I've answered my own question here. We're going to do a path filter on this one. So right click on the layer here, and then I want you to convert to a smart object. And that is going to allow us to, hey, we can make adjustments and come back if this filter doesn't work out. So going up to filter gallery, and then I'm going to go to the path blur. Okay. Now a lot of people don't use this very often, but it's a pretty handy filter. And you can see by default it gave us an arrow pointing to the right, and it's blurring in that single direction. Okay. And so we could drag and move this around, and we can actually shape the direction of the blur. Okay, how we do it is how we can do this. We can take the ends and move it out. We can actually define a path of how we want things to blur. You can actually see what's happening as we're doing this. Okay, we could cause it to go up, cause it to go down. We can hit delete and just remove it. Okay. So we'll take the sky first, and I think a nice horizontal movement would be good. And the sea, I want to turn around and do a little bit of different things. So I'm going to draw another one out. I'm going to draw another path out, much longer, because I want to be able to control it. And by controlling it, I can add points to this, just anywhere I click. Okay. And with these control points now on the path, I can actually control how the blur shapes. Okay. And now I just turn around and do an adjustment on the amount of blur. Okay. And I again can come in and make adjustments. Delete that. There we go. Delete. Give it a little bit of wave. Let's give it some more blur. And maybe even more. And again, I can put more interest in this by moving the blurs how I want it. See that I'm shaping the clouds in the direction of the movement of the sky. It's very important. Watch up on the upper here. You can see I am controlling the sky. And again, I can add points and I can shape interest into the sky. And I can do the same thing to the ocean. And of course, how much you blur, that's entirely up to your tastes. Okay, so motion blur effect. And then up here, I want you to click high quality. And that's going to give us the highest quality rendering we can do when it's rendered. I'm going to hit OK. May take a second here to render this out because this is a little computational intensive on Photoshop. But the extra weight is worth it usually. And we're cranking right along. So I'll keep stalling by saying stupid things. There we go. Now you see how I've done this? I've done it almost like in a painterly stroke. Instead of just a traditional blur, I've turned it to a painterly stroke. And so that works out pretty good. And I can now bring back in the here, and you can see that what we've done is really taken the photo now and made it more interest. And again, there's no wrong or right way. How you shape the curve, how you shape the path, completely up to you. All right. So, okay. So I'm liking what we're doing so far. And the last thing is, I should have said this in the beginning. I intended all the way from the very beginning that this thing is going to black and white. Okay. And I just feel it's going to have a better surreal look. The colors don't really add anything to this photo. I think that shape, lights, and patterns would definitely pay off. So now I got a question on whether I'm going to use which method to go black and white with. And so my two main choices are gradient map, black and white adjustment layer, or a desaturate. And I've always hated desaturate, so we're not going to do that. But I will go ahead and try a gradient fill. Gradient map, and you can see what that did. Okay. And that's because my colors were black and white. It just defaulted right there. Now you have a choice in the latest version of Photoshop to the amount of toning, the amount of effect, and it's by default perpetual. And you can go to linear, and you can go to classic. Classic is what we're used to. Okay, and that's again up to personal taste. All right, but those are your options. So that's what I would get if I were to use a gradient map conversion. That's not bad. Not bad at all. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And I'm going to go ahead and try my black and white adjustment layer. Because I'm comparing what effects I like better. And I'll hit auto, and it didn't really do nothing. So now I got to work with the individual colors to get the effect that I want to see on the toning. Well, blue skies, blue ocean. I'm going to drop the blues, darken them down all the way. Okay. And in fact, to make it easier, I'll just take the fingers here and I will drop it and then adjust it, and it'll take it down. Okay. And I click and it'll adjust the different colors down. And that I find is really, really handy to it. Okay, so now I have my black and white, and I have my perpetual gradient map. So I've got to go between the two and decide which one I like better. And there's no right or wrong. It's just a question of what I want. The black and white gradient map gives a little more higher contrast, a little darker image, and the black and white is a little bit lighter, more definition in it, more details are visible. So each have their pluses and their minuses. It's all personal taste what you go for. So I am definitely little blocked up shadows here. I think maybe I'll go with the black and white conversion layer. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now we're making what our attempt at is a creative fine art piece, right? And so now the last thing I need to do is I need to turn around and decide, is there anything else I can do theatrically to put better on this thing? And I could put in a new layer and I'm just going to do a solid, or actually a photo filter, actually. I was thinking maybe if I add maybe some sepia to this, okay? Just that yellow tinge, okay? A little sepia, oh, deep red. A little sepia, and let me increase the color until I'm getting to the look that I wish to have. And let me see here. There's my sepia. There's without, and there's with. I'm not sure I'm loving the sepia. I'll throw it away. And that's one thing too, while you guys do doing your working with your photos, that's what these creative Sundays are about. It's about the process. It's about experimenting. It's about having fun and being creative. Okay? I'm sitting here doing this unrehearsed and just going through and trying different things. And if I like the outcome, I keep it. If I don't, I throw it away and try a different outcome. I'm going to try a different outcome. I'm going to try a color adjustment layer. And I'm going to bring in some of these things. And let me try candlelight. Now that's interesting. I like the candlelight lookup table. We'll keep that as a possibility. And crisp warm. Don't like that at all. And edgy amber. Now that's pretty strong. But we could back it off. Let's take a look if we back this one off. We'll change the opacity. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I'm liking it. Maybe drop it a little more. I am liking that. But that's pretty interesting look, actually. And for creativeness, you know, I'm going to turn around and call it here. Again, there's no wrong or right. And I hope that you watch these videos, and the whole purpose is just to see the creative process, right? It's not that I'm going to necessarily come away with a masterpiece, but I had a losing photo here that we started out with, and we turned it creatively into something. And hopefully maybe you picked up some techniques along the way. Like, how many of you have actually used the path blur before? And you could see how I shaped the interest in the sky, and I shaped the water, okay? Because we went from an absolute, I'm going to go right to the old beginning here, and that was our original shot, all the way to this. And I think it's a big difference. I think it's more interesting photo. And so there you go. I'm going to call that as my creative edit today. So there you go. All right, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you could take a few minutes out, subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notifications when I put up a new episode. It all helps out the show. And, with the way YouTube changes their algorithms, I'm getting reports that, people just aren't getting the notifications when I do put up new videos. And I put up a new video every Sunday and every Wednesday. So again, all right, guys. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Till next week, take care.